All right. Well, listeners, I have a special treat for you. I have Blake Spann. Am I saying that right?
That's right. You got it.
Spann. And I do know him. I just never had to pronounce his name. We've been friends on Facebook for a while and went back and forth. And Blake's an innovative guy, man. I don't want to steal any of his thunder. I'll let him get into it. But he has some really cool things that he does, and it's pretty innovative. And that primarily why I wanted to interview him, besides the fact that he's a great guy. But
Appreciate
so,
it.
Blake, tell us a little bit more about you. We'd like to get to know you personally.
I'm 31 years old. I was born and raised in Columbus, Indiana, which is a small town about 30, 40 minutes south of Indianapolis. I'm married. My wife's Kayla, and we have a daughter, Bailey. She's 16 months old.
All right. I've been there. I know I have two daughters. Now
Yeah,
they're on
yeah.
the other end of the spectrum. One going to be a senior and a freshman.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah,
a whole new. But I remember those days. Those days were great.
yeah.
16 months, so she's walking. I take it probably
Yep,
walking.
walking all over the place, getting into everything. So it's something new every day. So it's exciting. So we really enjoy watching her do her thing and learn new stuff as she goes. It's real fun.
Yeah, I remember those days. There was two things that scared me when one of them was really loud or really silent.
Something's going on.
I don't know, like I hadn't heard from her in a while. She's not sleeping, she's into something.
Yeah, yeah, I know that. Yeah, she's usually getting into the food cabinet when she's real quiet. So we gotta watch her. She steals crackers and cookies. So
Oh
that's
wow,
part
yeah.
of it, I guess.
We had to repaint a room because one of my daughters thought that the walls were her canvas.
Oh, that's fun though.
Decorated the room, boy.
Yeah.
Well, so Blake, so tell me, so how did you get into home inspection? Take us from like, what's your background and what led you to home inspection?
Well, this is probably the longest part of my story. It's when I was in high school, I really enjoyed welding and fabrication. I thought I'd be doing that most of my life, and I did that in high school. We had a program called co-op, so I would go to school half days and then work half days. After I got out of high school, I started jumping around trades though. I went to a roofing company, electrical HVAC company. At that time, um, my wife Kayla, who was my girlfriend at the time, we were dating, but she lived in South Florida. I lived up in Indiana, so we were doing the long distance thing. So I knew eventually one of us would have to move somewhere. In 2008, our little town here had a big flood that happened. Our house had like 8 feet of water or so in it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, we lost a lot of cars, or lost all of our cars. We had some four-wheelers, music equipment. Something about that, it just kind of, I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be now. So I got a little insurance money from my forerunner that got flooded. So I went over to a used car dealership. I found an old Ford Focus. Had 250,000 miles, no AC on it, no fifth gear. I piled my clothes in it, and I moved down to Florida. Once I got there, I found a roommate, and I slept on his couch. And at that time, I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't have a computer. So what I would do every morning, I'd wake up and I'd go to the library, and I would go on Craigslist to look at job ads, Monster, whatever site I could find,
Right.
see if people were hiring. At that time, I don't know if you know much about like 2007, 2008, Florida, it's almost like in a depression as far
Oh,
as
yeah.
trades go.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
building trades. So really hard to find a job, but I ended up getting getting hooked up with a roofing company, which kicked my butt because roofing in Southwest Florida is a lot different than roofing up in Indiana,
Hot. I
if
bet.
you if you could imagine. So while I was doing that, it paid the bills, but I was still going to the library and looking online for job ads. And one came out on Craigslist. It said, "Jack of all trades, must be clean cut, must have transportation." So I replied to it. Then the next day, I remember this real specifically because my wife still jokes about it with me. I picked my wife up uh, from her job for lunch. We go to Taco Bell. And then in the drive
I've
through,
been there, brother. I've been there, man.
yeah, I'm getting ready to pay for it, and she leans over. She's like, "Do you want me to pay for it? Because I know you don't have a lot of money." And it like hit me to the core. And 1 minute after that, I got a call from that Craigslist ad. It was Russell Hensel, and with Comprehensive Building Consultants in Southwest Florida. He hired me to be a home inspector. So he took me in. I was a young punk kid. He taught me the ways of home inspections, which I never even knew was a trade.
Right.
It all clicked, and he taught me everything I knew. So I'm pretty grateful for that. So that's how I got my start in the trade.
Yeah, awesome. I saw you had said some really nice things about him online about like, I think like one of your, like you guys, your honeymoon or something was got canceled because you couldn't flights to Mexico or something.
Yep.
You like
Yep. He
helped him out a lot and stuff like that.
yeah, things like that, because I didn't have a whole lot of money, and neither did she. But yeah, I forget what was going on in Mexico, but they canceled the flights, and that was our honeymoon. We already put money into it, so we're just like, hey, we'll go up to Disney World or whatever. But Russ stepped up, and him and my dad and bought us some cruise tickets, so we got to do that. Just really awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. So many good things out of that story, guys. First of all, kudos to Kayla for sticking with you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Because you're obviously a lot more successful now, and he didn't give up on you.
Sleeping on the couch and eating Taco Bell.
Yeah. Driving a 250,000-mile Ford Focus.
Yeah, with no AC in South Florida. So
I had the same thing. I had a Ford Escort, and let me add one thing to it. I had a Ford Escort 250,000 miles. And it had this sunroof on it that was like the cheapest 1980 sunroof you could get. And one time I locked my keys in it, so I had to break in through the sunroof to get in. Anyway, the latch was forever broken. So now I could never latch it. So as long as you were driving around town, you were fine. But if you got on the interstate, the thing I never could make it stop. I tried to like wire it. And I've been going out on a date with my girlfriend, who same thing, man. And we're like going out on a date. I'm just like holding my hand on because the thing would start flapping.
Yeah,
but
hey,
anyway,
you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah. Anyway, getting back to your story, Russell, is it Russell Henson? I know the name, and
Russell Hensel. Yeah,
Hensel. That was awesome and big of him to do that. And kudos to you, because obviously you've come a long way from there. So tell us how you got from Florida, working with Russell with your $250,000 Ford Focus and eating at Taco Bell, to Indiana with your really successful inspection business. So fill in that gap.
That's a big gap. So my wife's family at the time, they all lived down there in Florida. So, but after a while, they ended up having to move to Pennsylvania. So they were all gone. It was just, Kayla and I down there, and which was, fun at the time, but we started thinking long term, it'd be nice to be, where family are. So the options were go over to Pennsylvania where her family is, or go back up to Columbus, Indiana, where I'm from. Mm-hmm. As soon as I reached out, a roofing company that I had previously worked for said, hey, we'll hire you right now. We'll pay for your moving expenses. We'll pay you a good wage to come back up. So, we thought about it, and we're like, let's, if that's the move we're going to make, we ended up pulling the trigger on it. So took the job up, moved back up to Columbus. Again, I started jumping around trades again. Didn't really have a desire to try to open my own home inspection company. Was doing roofing, went back to electrical, went back to welding, fabrication, facility maintenance, stuff like that. I always kept my NACHI membership though. And, I would get on there every once in a while and just do a course to kind of keep, I guess, my mind on it. Yeah. Well, eventually, I was getting sick of making, the 14, 15 bucks an hour doing that kind of stuff. And Kayla and I sat down, and I wrote up a business plan. I was like, hey, I think I can do what we did in Florida and kind of match it up here. In Florida, we had the mobile inspection office, the on-site reporting and presentation and all that. And I told her I thought we could do that up here. So she supported me. I talked to my dad about it. He read the plan. He supported me. I had a motorcycle at the time. I sold it, and I sold the old truck I had to pay for the education, the AHIT training to get licensed. So ended up taking that, passed the test, got my insurance, all that, bought a Ford Transit. My first Ford Transit, I don't know if you see pictures of that. I made a mobile office out of it, but it was a one-man office.
Right.
Which was nice. And then whenever we would go over the reports, I had a mini projector system that I would take inside, and we'd set it up at a kitchen table. And we would go over the report, with a projector system. It started sometimes being a hassle, though, if sellers would stay and they want to sit in on the presentation or awkward things like that. So the very next year, I bought this 16-passenger shuttle bus from a dealership.
It's awesome.
I made a mobile conference room in it. So now we just go over the reports in here. We can fit probably 6 people, and I have a big screen TV and a table. So we just sit around this table and drink coffee or water. We go over the report. So I guess long story short, that's how I went from there to here, and that's kind of where I'm at right now with it.
Yeah, that is so awesome. For all the listeners out there, that Blake, and I'm hoping we'll get some links to your Facebook, and hopefully everybody will like your page. But I know you got pictures of it on there.
Oh yeah,
awesome mobile office, and this thing's cool. It's very modern. It's like, and it serves a dual purpose. Not only is it a mobile office and they can talk about, sit in there and the air conditioning and all that, on a hot day or a heat on a cold day and just report and you can show it. But the other cool thing is he's in it right now because because he's doing inspections today. So we had to do this interview really early in the morning. So his family's still asleep. So is mine. But so he's out in his mobile office. So he's got sort of a mobile office, man cave. Man, I'm rethinking some of my
I always tell people too, if I don't make it as a home inspector, I could always go into Uber driving or a party bus.
Yeah, the ultimate stretch multiple party thing there.
Yeah.
Well, Blake, tell all the listeners, how could they go see pictures? What's your Facebook? And while you're there, give the guy some likes because that'll help him with his SEO.
Honestly, I don't know the URL to the Facebook, but you just go, search, type in inspect. I think I'm the only company spelled with a K. So INSPEKT. You'll see it there. I have pictures. Also the website's home inspect
with a K.
With a K, homeinspect.com. And I got pictures online there and videos.
That's cool. Is that why the K on the hat as well?
Yeah. It's kind of the branding I went with it. So all my marketing kind of focuses on that. So
nah, it's cool, man. It's cool. Yeah, he's got that domain. I think inspect, but with a K. But that's smart, man. That's pretty smart. Pretty smart.
Thank you.
Well, you've been doing inspections now for a little while, and you've obviously got some innovative stuff, which is really cool and kind of a new outside the box. I like it. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Tell us about, and I know you haven't been inspecting a terribly long time, but what are some of the changes that you've seen, Blake?
Really, just with the social media and online reviews. That's the 2 biggest things. A lot of people, they want to see, much more than just a direct referral, but they want to see reviews behind it. That's one thing I've kind of noticed and what I've been focusing on. And that just, the little posts that you can do on Facebook and social media that kind of keep you in front. To me, it's changing a lot as far as getting work that way.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm gonna flip it on you, and I know you don't have a crystal ball or anything, but how do you? And nobody knows for sure, but if you had to guess, if you were pressed, how would you say the next 5 to 10 years, how do you think our business is going to change, our industry or whatever?
I think if you talk to any home inspector, we'd all agree that there's inspectors coming in by the tons. The one thing I've always kind of focused on is there's room for the cheaper inspectors. There's room for the fast inspectors. There's room for the expensive, thorough inspectors. You just got to find your niche. There's successful inspectors all across the board that have a different setup, different style, and they all make it work for them. So I think there's going to be a lot of people coming in. So I just, tell people to find their niche. What do you want to do? Do you want to be that more expensive kind of thorough inspector, or are you going more towards the speed and picking up volume that way?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And I was thinking about that the other day. It's my wife's birthday today, so I had to go buy her, she told me exactly what she wanted, and, which is great. Now, so I know I'm getting way down a rabbit hole here, but anyway, I had to go to the mall, the really nice mall to Belch. And there's Nordstrom's and there's, all these high-end stuff, and it's nice, and they're busy.
Yeah.
Not my kind of place, though. I just Walmart myself.
Yeah.
But hey, this is a gift for my wife, and this is what she wants, so I'm doing it. But it dawned on me that, kind of like what you just said, there's always going to be the Nordstroms. There's always going to be the Walmart. There's always going to be the Amazon. And if you think about cars, man, I mean, there is, a Hyundai. Of course, Hyundais are actually pretty nice now. But they used to be really cheap. Used to be Euro and a Hyundai. But I mean, there's the Ford Focus.
Yeah.
There's the Ferrari Diablo or what? No, that's Lamborghini. Sorry.
But, yeah.
And everything in between. And there's room for all that. I mean,
exactly.
I know some inspectors get all mad about the cheap Charlies, and I might have even said something about that. But then, all right, well, maybe that's just not your niche. I mean, and you don't do every inspection. If price is the only thing a person is looking for, you probably don't want to do that inspection.
Yep, exactly.
And I always tell inspectors, and again, I'm getting way off on a rabbit hole, but this is why we have the outline. Girl. But, I always hear people say, like, that this guy, they need to lower their price. And I always say, you know what? Don't compete on price. Compete on value. So lowering your price, figure out some way to add value and charge more. I mean, add infrared, add sewer scope. And then that's the way you compete. So, I cost more, but look at all this stuff that I do. And nothing against that guy, but, it's –
Yep. Or you show up in a big mobile conference bus,
Exactly.
All kinds of options.
There's a reason I took my wife out to a really nice steakhouse last night, and today we'll probably go to Taco Bell.
Hey, there you go.
It's all we can afford after last night. It was a birthday. All right. So anyway, my ADD far enough there. So does Indiana have licensing? And are you a member of any association? Well, you said NACHI, and do you use it or?
Indiana's a licensed state. You can do the half online, half classroom training, which is what I did, or you could do the full classroom. Yeah, so we are a licensed state. We do the national exam, and then I've always been a member of NACHI. They just have great training, great videos, so that's mainly what I use it for, continuing education.
Cool. And Blake, do you have a success quote you could share with us?
It kind of goes with what we were talking about, and it goes back to my early inspection days down in Florida. But price is what you pay, value is what you get.
Oh, I like it. Do that one more time. Price is what you
pay, value is what you get.
Man, I need to write that down. That's going to be the lead in. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. Like it.
Yep.
All right, let's say, Blake, that I'm a buyer or real estate agent in your market, and it looks like you cover the greater Indianapolis area.
Yep.
Let's say that I'm a buyer or real estate agent in your market. There are obviously other home inspectors in your market. Why should I hire you? Is there something you do besides the mobile office, which is a big – what else do you do that others don't?
So obviously, like you said, the mobile office is the big thing. Other than that, we do thermal imaging, which we include the pictures in the report. The equipment I have, I feel like I bring in pretty quality equipment as far as thermal imaging, moisture meters, stuff like that. We also do the warranty services, which have helped a lot in certain cases. So I know a lot of people are doing those now, but that still helps. We also do a free reinspection, which I'm pretty sure no one else does, but we have a good success with it. We make it work. That's a pretty big one. A lot of guys, you'll have to pay an additional, $150 or so, or $100 for a reinspection. But so we kind of combined all those whenever we're talking to people, and usually that's the package that we present to them.
Oh, like it. All right, I'm gonna combine these two questions.
Okay.
I used to ask this all the time. What do you do in your spare time? But what I've found is most home inspectors, and especially ones with a new baby, don't have a whole lot of free time. But so here's the combination of the questions, the 1-2 punch. Tell us something that most people don't know about you, and what would you do in your spare time if you had it?
Yeah. So before I owned a business and had a baby, I was big into music, played in some bands, that was kind of one thing.
What did you play?
Drums. Yep. And then I used to like rebuild things. So I would buy like broken motorcycles and just rebuild them, put new engines or parts in them, ride them around and sell them. It was always just something I enjoyed doing, but don't really have time for that. Now the next question, what people don't know about me. I'd say probably work-wise, people probably don't know. I'm a Jehovah's Witness, so one day I might be inspecting the front door, the next day I might be come knocking on it, talking to you about the Bible. So you just never know.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. Hey, and on your thing about the drums and the putting stuff together, word of advice, just because I'm a little bit older, but I was right where you were. Don't give up on that, and don't, you need a hobby. And if you guys ever, at some point you buy and sell a couple of houses and you move up, just try to get one with a large, like, garage area.
Yeah, or a basement. Yeah,
exactly. And you can
I miss it.
That stuff alive. I mean, I still work my tail off, but the problem is, not the problem. The good thing is my kids, as they've gotten older, they don't need me as much. They just need me for money now.
They probably don't want to see it.
So, I don't have to watch my kids, anymore. So I actually have a little, and you'll have a little more time. So, but don't give up on it. Keep a set of drums and keep some tool sets around, and keep it up for as you get older, And you know what? I told my wife, I tell everybody this. Every guy has a thing. And what I mean by that, you go in and you inspect houses, and, when we're young, I hope I don't offend anybody when I say this, but, we like chasing women. We were out on the chase. Well, obviously, get married, you can't do that anymore. Well, some do, but that'll get you.
Yeah, so, podcast.
So, yeah, I'm like, so now we got to find something else. And for a lot of guys, it's golf. But it's funny when you inspect a house, you see what the guy's thing is. Some guys, it's rebuilding cars. Devin, I think down in South Carolina, in Florida, he does that, and a couple other. And I could easily get into that, but some guys are into bikes, motorcycles, or something. Everybody has something.
Yeah, and gotta have something.
But I tell my wife, I was like, you support them, because if it wasn't that, we'd be chasing women. So we just need something to, like, Anyway, get yourself a basement or a garage the next time you buy a house, and play those drums and put those things together.
Yeah.
And your wife to support you, because that keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah, it's in the plans. Yep.
There you go. Well, now that I've totally got off the one or two more questions, then we're up against the break here. Actually, just one more. Blake, as well as I do that if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an unhappy camper. How do you handle an unhappy camper? Do you have a process? What's that look like?
Yeah. My process is called Brittany. She's my office manager. She's amazing. You won't find another more nice, friendly, tolerable person. She's excellent in handling those types of calls. So with her on the front end, taking those, and then we have the warranty services that we offer. Usually those combined, we can get stuff resolved, usually in a beneficial way, a positive way. It's pretty rare that we have anyone that's actually mad and stays mad. Mainly a misunderstanding or or something that a warranty would cover. So yeah, those processes have saved a lot of heartache on that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're up against the break, Blake, but when we come back, we're going to talk about some ups and downs and a time when you failed and some good stuff. Is that good?
All right. Sounds good.
Hey, Blake, do you mind if I run use the restroom?
No, go ahead, man.
I'll be right back. Just give me like 3 minutes. I'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Preston Sandlin, and I own Home Inspection Carolina, and I wanted to show you a way that you can get more home inspection leads. So what you can do, you obviously can do a pre-inspection, but I understand some people don't want to do that. But what it is, we set out a sign. And this sign is going to have information about the house. When you text that, you can have information about the house. You could have a home inspection discount. You could also lead them to a website. So this is my daughter, Sarah Margaret. Say hi.
Hi.
So Sarah Margaret, you pretend like you're buying this house, and I want you to text. You're riding by, doing the kiki dance, whatever, and you see, hey, I'm interested in this house. I'd like you to text info to that number, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead and do that now. She's interested in the house. So for more information on this house, she's going to text that and a home inspection discount. Okay, so I just got the lead in the buyer. Now, you should get something in a second. So what'd you get? So click on the top one there, yeah. So you'll see what she gets. So she's going to get information about the house. And meanwhile, I got the lead. All right, so scroll up just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So there's like a little video about the house. Of course, your phone's really slow. There's multiple pictures of the house and whatnot. And well, there goes the video finally. I'm gonna have to edit this a little bit. But the cool thing is read what it says there. Read that out loud, Samara.
This is a demo house. It is not for sale. It is for demonstration purposes only. Information about the house would go here if this house was actually for sale. If you are interested in getting a home inspection, call 704-542-6575 with the code HIC 2018. You can receive a $23 discount on a home inspection on this house or any house you decide to buy in this area. Discount code HIC 2018. 704-542-6575.
Okay. Now, well, I talk a little bit. Text that same number, text info1. You can just use the same number, text info1 now. So what I'm going to do is show you how we did a couple of other things with it. But again, the whole thing is to drive leads. Now I have the lead and I can follow up with her. She's a potential buyer. I can do a drip campaign. Let me go one. Now click on that. What you got for no, top there. Edit this. See how there's a discount code there. Home inspection discount. All right, last one. Go back to that same text and text info 3. So this is something of value that's not a discount code. It's an inspection list. So I can put that sign anywhere. And again, see, I'm getting the lead. So I'll click on here to the lead. And you see, I just got these leads. Is your number 704-7? Oh, I better not say that out loud because guys will be calling you. But obviously, all right, so did you do info 3? Mm-hmm. All right, now click on that top one and make show what that shows on there. So, all 3, I captured the lead. I did information about the house with a home inspection discount. I can connect it to a URL that has a home inspection discount, a URL with a something giveaway, a checklist, radon information, you name it. But we capture the lead. So everybody who texts this, we get that home inspection lead. They're going to need a home inspection. They're also going to need probably a realtor. So the realtor is going to like us as well. So check out inspectedhouses.com. It's a new way to get leads for your home inspection business and leads for the realtor as well. Thank you.
Sorry about that, brother.
Oh, it's all right.
I had this humongous coffee this morning to wake up.
Yeah, I'm on my 4th cup, so
I know, man.
I might be there too.
I drink way too much. All right. You ready to get back started? Yep. All right. And thanks, man. You're rocking, dude. It's awesome. All right. Well, I am back here with Blake, and he is dropping a lot of gold nuggets. And be sure to go to this guy's Facebook page. It's Inspect with a K instead of a C there towards the end. Or you check him out on Facebook. Or Blake Spann. Is it Spann? Is that correct?
Yep, that's it. 2 N's.
Yeah, and Blake is, like it sounds, Blake, I think. And I'm the world's worst speller, so.
You did good on that one, though.
Thank you for having a simple name. There's, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll murder it. All right. Well, let's get back into it. A couple more things. Blake, tell us about a time when you failed and what'd you learn from it?
Yeah, that's a really easy one. So when I first started this business, Inspect Up Here, after I've already been inspecting, down in Florida, I tried to copy the process a little too much. I found out the hard way that each area is different. One thing could work down there. In this area, it's not the same. So I came in trying to copy a little bit too much of what I used to do back there, and it wasn't working right off the bat. Thankfully, a couple long-time, super successful agents took me in. We sat down, and they're like, hey, if you want to do this up here, this is what you're going to have to kind of change this and this and this. And it helped a lot. And as soon as I did that, just so much more business was coming in and people were happier, and it just worked so much better.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's kind of every once in a while I'll get a buyer or seller, or mainly a buyer, not a seller, because a seller would have been here for a while, and they're moved from an area and it's like, hurricane straps and all that. And I'm like, we don't have that here.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess in California, you got to have an earthquake, you got to have the water heater strapped down and everything.
Yep. Yeah. And imagine up in Indiana, I mean, it's a lot more lenient here versus, Miami-Dade.
Yeah. But then also you get somebody, from Michigan or, Canada, and they're like, termites, what are termites? I'm like,
yeah. So yeah, it goes all ways on that.
We got them. We got all kinds of creepy crawler critters down here, and even more the further south you go.
Yeah.
Well, on the other end of the spectrum, Blake, tell us about a I made it moment, or I've changed that to I've come a long way moment. Have you had one of those?
Yeah, it's probably seems silly like to most people, but to me, it felt good. But I got invited to like a really exclusive Facebook group that has like maybe 10 or 15 inspectors in it. And they're all, in my opinion, some of the most successful that you'll ever meet. And they invited me, a one-man shop to that group. And that just meant a lot. I was like, man, that, I guess they see something in me that would allow me to share ideas with them. So, yep, that was kind of a success moment for me, just seeing that.
That's awesome, brother. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Do you have a favorite book you could recommend to our? And I know you don't have a whole lot of time to read because you're always working, but I listen to books.
I've never ever been a big reader. ADD like you, so I could never sit down and read a book. But being a Jehovah's Witness and growing up, I just say, the Bible still got it's got great lessons on how to be a good person and what you need to do. So that'd be my suggestion.
Awesome. Yeah, you can't go wrong with the Bible. Have you ever, and I know the answer to this question before I ask, because anybody who's an inspector, they have the same answer. Have you ever been thrown under the bus by a contractor? How did you handle it? And do you have any ideas on how to prevent it? I don't think you can prevent it, but at least how to handle it. So what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, definitely have had that happen. Like you said, every home inspector has that happen. What I do, I reason with them. If I have to meet them on a job to show them something or talk to them on the phone, it usually resolves the issue. And like I said before, 9 times out of 10, it's a misunderstanding, or a lot of times they might not have the equipment that we do. For example, I had to meet a plumber. I found a leak in between floors with thermal imaging from a bathtub. He couldn't find it, threw me under the bus. Realtor hated me, called me a deal killer. Went out there, met him. We found it. I could actually find an access that we could view under, and you could see the puddle of water. After that, he literally referred a job to me last week. So,
Awesome.
it took a bad situation, and now,
Yeah.
referring work to each other. So,
Yeah, one time I was in the restaurant business in college. I mean, I worked at a restaurant, and that was one thing I learned. They said that they take like bad situations and look at them as an opportunity. That if you can turn a bad situation around, it's really an opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah, try to remember that.
It's hard.
But when you're in the thick of it, sometimes it's a little tough when somebody's calling you an idiot because there's no leak.
Yeah, and it's never one person. There's always two or three, calling you the name. So you got to prove several people wrong usually. So.
Well, yeah. and I, right before the interview, I told you I do a little. We know each other, but obviously go into a little more research so that I'm good on the questions and everything.
Uh-huh.
I saw that video you had where you were running water down the sink and looked fine until you filled up the basin and put pressure on it back, and then it was leaking.
Yeah,
I could totally see a seller or even a plumber or their uncle who was a plumber say, there's no leak here. But
yeah, that's actually our number one callback is, hey, there's no plumbing leak here. So and even Brittany knows to tell them, hey, just fill up the sink and try it again, and then they can see it that time. So
yeah, absolutely. Or the opposite is, how many times you get this call? And I know all the listeners get it. Hey, the outlet doesn't work. The outlet, you missed it. And I'm like, go find the light switch in that room.
Yep, that's another really common one.
I guarantee you that you flipped that thing off. It's controlled by a light switch.
Yeah.
On another one, kind of related to the contractor thing. Do you guys have the? I know you do because they're everywhere. The contractors out there who use fear, and the mold guys are sometimes the worst. The duct cleaning guys, and it's like $39 duct cleaning, but that's not really what they're doing. Yeah. They're going out. That's just to get them to your house and sell a mold remediation. And let me preface this by saying, not all mold remediation are crooks. Yeah. But there are some, and I've run into it. I mean, it took me a while to figure out. I used to think people just went out there like us and just evaluated the house, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever. But what I realized were these folks are mold remediation salesmen. So what is their job? It's to sell a mold remediation, not to and that's okay. But when they start fudging things or trying to use fear to scare people into something, I have a problem with that. Yeah. Anyway, do you have these type guys, contractors operating in your market, and how do you deal with it?
Oh, yeah. I can actually tell you just a couple stories. First of all, to counter that, it goes back to a previous comment. We work with a lot of contractors, and we have in our arsenal very trusted ones. A couple in our area that have helped me in a situation and helped other inspectors. You get big companies coming in, like you said, mold. I did a house several months ago, and they had, I won't say the name of the contractor, but a big one come out, and they quoted them $10,000 for mold remediation in the crawl space. And I'm a stickler on mold. Like if I see a little bit of it, I'm going to write it up. So that's not something I usually miss, especially $10,000 worth. So I had them send me the estimates, and it had everything under the sun, stuff not even related to the crawl space that needed to be fixed, and it had to be done now. So what I did is I shared the quote with another contractor that I know really well. He went out there, didn't find a trace of mold at all. So it's to me a crook, trying to get people, like a car, someone working on a car. If you don't know anything about it, they could sell you on a bunch of stuff trying to fix it. Another situation, I helped another inspector that got stuck with the same thing. A local inspector, a company came in after he inspected it and quoted $10,000 of mold cleanup. I went out there myself as a second opinion, and we shot it down. So, yep, we definitely see it. And like I said, my biggest recommendation is get some trusted contractors that will give you the right answer on it.
Yeah, no, same thing here. And the whole thing with mold is, and I'm sure there's some listeners out there who have like every certification under the sun and can maybe counters something that I'm saying. I might get an ugly email. But my experience where I live, it's moisture. I mean, the high moisture is mold needs three things, and moisture being the one thing that you can control. You really can't control the other two. And it's always high moisture. And, I've had some that, like, I walked in it, no mold. I can almost tell, I mean, this isn't a catch-all, but if I come out of the man and I'm dusty, I mean, like, that's a fairly dry crawl space. Now, I know there's atmospheric moisture and all that stuff, but, I get some like that, and I get the mold thing, and I'm like, I know. And same thing. I go back out there, and I was like, these people are just trying to rip these people off. I mean, it pisses me off, too, because it's not just me they're ripping off. They're ripping off, they're basically ripping them off, trying to get you to pay for it. But, how many situations have they ripped a consumer off where there wasn't a home inspector involved? And, on the flip side of that, thank God you were there. But the only problem is once they get it in their mind, that mold is such a scary thing that it's hard to unwind that fear.
Yeah. Yep. Then they start looking in every nook and cranny and pulling stuff off, and they see.
They start reading the internet. And, the internet's unregulated, so you scare the crap out of yourself reading the internet.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, let's fun it up a little bit. Now, remember, Blake, it's a G-rated show on this.
Okay.
What's the wildest, weirdest, or craziest thing, one of those or all the above, that you've ever found on a home inspection?
Yeah, I really don't have too many. I was trying to think of something. I guess the most, nastiest thing. I did a mobile home out in the country. It was on a septic. Well, they didn't have a septic. It was just draining into their crawl space. So they had about 3 or 4 feet of, good stuff down there. So that was probably and they were living in the house, and the smell would just knock you off your feet. That's probably the weirdest thing I ever found. So.
I was crawling under this house one time, and I don't mean to be like, but I always tell people, like we said early on, it's like a bar conversation. I want to tell you something similar. I had this has been years ago. I had to inspect this old house, and it was kind of like a couple of houses had been combined, and the thing was, it was like several. Anyway, all these food trucks that like went to construction companies were coming in and out of this house. I mean, it's a long story. But anyway, I'm up underneath the crawl space, and, oh, man, I saw this huge rat, and it was just nasty. But anyway, there was, like, this big, like, pool of, like, this white stuff. And I was like, I had never seen anything like that before in my life. And I couldn't identify it. And, I'm crawling around. It got on my shoes, and I'm, like, looking at it, like, what the hell is this?
Did you touch it?
And anyway, I put it all together. You know what it was? It was they were cooking up the stuff in that house to go take to construction sites, and they were just pouring the damn grease down into the cross. That was all like lard, animal fat, whatever you would call it. And it was like, I'd throw those shoes away, those boots away.
Yeah.
And if this house ever caught on fire, dude, it would be on
It'd
fire.
Go up.
Like, it was just
I've never seen that.
It literally was like a foot full of grease throughout the entire house. I mean, I wrote it up. I don't know whatever happened with that dude. I don't know. That house might need to be bulldozed. But.
They probably kept it down there.
Yeah. All right, Blake. So we're starting to wind down here, and I appreciate your time. This is Sunday morning, and he's got an inspection later on today, so he's got a busy day. And he's got a 16-month-old daughter.
She'll be waking up anytime, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure the wife will need some help. Okay, so I want to ask your opinion on something. I'm bothered sometimes by what I see on the forums. I don't know what it is. They get better, they get worse, they get better. And I get it. I mean, we're not all, it isn't church. I get it. But, I don't mind bad language. I don't mind, it does bother me, though, when somebody just purposely tries to make somebody look stupid or just, I don't know, that bothers disrespect. I always say it's okay to disagree, but it doesn't have to lead to disrespect. Just say, hey, we have to agree to disagree on that. But anyway, what's your thought on some of the forums? And they get good for a while, and then they get bad, and then they get good. And, what's your thoughts on it?
Oh yeah, that was a huge thing for me. I was always like really involved in all the forums that I could be in, and then a couple months ago I left all of them. I kept two forums. Ones again that are with the top inspectors. Instead, I replaced forums with I have a central command unit of inspectors that I'm in contact with every week.
Nice.
Juan Jimenez, you, Jason Michael, Joe Mishak, Troy Pappas, the list goes on and on. And, if you need any information, I go directly to those guys who have done it, who have seen it. That way you're not just posting a question on Facebook and you have 10,000 responses coming up. You're actually going to get something that's, worth its weight versus just opinions, basically. So that's what I did to counter that.
Yeah, and and I'm guilty. I mean, I got caught up in it a little bit, but it's just the drama, man. I'm like, this is not productive, I mean, we're all out here trying to build our businesses, and we want to. I don't know, but I'm guilty. I mean, I can't point the finger. If I do, I have to point it at myself a little bit too.
Yeah, it saps your energy, man. Like I'd be up late at night on those forums and like not getting sleep, and so then finally that's when I made the decision I need to choke it down and get some real answers, I guess.
Yeah, well, and don't get me wrong, I like and respect a lot of guys, but here's the bottom line. They're not making my truck payment or my house payment or my grocery bill. I got to pay attention to the things that are paying those bills. And that's where my mind needs to be. I mean, I want to get along with everybody and help and all that, but being sucked into some drama that doesn't produce money.
Yep. Cut it off.
Yeah. And I'm, again, I'm a hypocrite. I've let myself get sucked into it a couple times, but
oh yeah, me too. Yep. It happens.
I'm trying to just drama-free zone here. But I think the basic rule of my family, my business, everything is, again, it's okay to disagree. It's great that we disagree because if we all thought exactly alike, we'd be bored as hell.
Yeah.
But it's not okay to disrespect and figure out a way to just say, not, hey, Blake, you suck. You're wrong. Just say, I see what you're saying there, but I've had a different experience, or we just have to agree to disagree on that.
Yeah, that rarely happens, but that's how it should be handled.
Exactly. All right. Do you have a training, internet, or marketing resource you'd be willing to share, or an app you found that's helpful?
Yeah, I have a really good marketing resource. His name's Joe Mishak. He can be reached at 574-514-4546. He takes calls all hours of the day and night. He'll hook you up with some marketing.
What's that number again?
That's 574-514-4546.
Oh, he's gonna love you, man.
Yeah.
Joe's a good dude, man. So Joe and Dave and Steve are all together. And I have to tell you a funny story I heard about Joe was like when Joe was first hired to do inspections, termite work, or whatever, he got stung by a bee or something his very first day on his face. And it swelled up or something. And he was going to quit. I think he was doing some termite work or something. But anyway, he got into some bees and they stung him right on his face.
Oh, my God. Is there any pictures of that?
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing he didn't quit because he's one of the best marketers in the business.
Yeah, he's great.
Well, Blake, what's the best part of your job and why? And what's the worst part of your job and why?
Best part, I'd say just, I guess, seeing gratitude on people's faces, first-time home buyers that, maybe you find something that, could be a big ticket item for them and just seeing that they're appreciative. And the flip side goes to the worst part is, knowing what sellers have to go through sometimes when they sell home. I mean, they get put through the ringer sometimes and have to fix stuff that they probably never knew about. So it kind of sucks on that end, just, knowing what they have to deal with.
Yeah, and you know what? You're dead on. I mean, it's like we always complain from our perspective. But then wait till you sell your house or buy a house and you're on the other end of that. You kind of feel, you can sort of understand that. And You know what's crazy? I did it, and I have a few rental houses, and I order the inspection, or I have the realtor order the inspection, and not put. I don't want my guys to know. I want to see what my customer experience looks like without them. So if I ever buy a rental house or something, I just run it through like it's a regular customer, and I just want to see what the experience is like and what kind of quality and all that without them knowing that it's me.
Nice.
And it can be eye-opening.
I was going to say, is it good or bad?
A little bit of both. I mean,
yeah.
Good stuff, but a couple of things you're like, no wonder they're pissed off about this. They got too many dang emails. I mean, I can fix that, man.
Yep.
So anyway, that would get on my nerves too. So Blake, is there anything you're working on right now that's got you really jacked up or excited?
Not really, man. I was pumped about this podcast. I had some coffee this morning, so yeah, I'm all jacked up. So.
Oh man, You're doing great. You're doing great, and man, you got me inspired, man. I want to go work on my business. Well, Blake, let's say, and you actually did this. You moved from Florida to Indiana. If you had to move somewhere else, and you have a mobile office, so it'd be easy for you.
Yep.
If you had to start all over in a brand new market, had your mobile office, had your equipment, had all your training, room and board, not talking about that. You just wake up tomorrow morning and you don't know anybody, and you're in a brand new market, and you got $5,000 to get out and know people or market yourself. What are you doing with that $5,000 first week?
Well, I'd probably go back down to Florida. I mean, that's where every other inspector goes, it seems like. So might as well join them. And then if I don't work out, I'm sure one of my buddies could hire me down there. But I'd say first thing is, the standard, hitting the offices and becoming a member of the board and sponsoring events. I think agents like to see that you're involved in their board, and the more you can do to support them, like we do golf outings and whatnot. I think that goes a long way with them. Absolutely.
Well, we're winding down. Blake, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Let me see here. Not really. I mean, if you want to talk to me next time, just, call me and take me out for a steak dinner or something. So.
I tell people at conferences, just buy me beer, man.
Yeah, that works too. I'll
talk if you will. And I'm not an expert, but I've done everything wrong. I can tell you what not to do, so I can help you be successful by process of elimination.
Yep. Everyone's done it.
I have made every wrong move, said the wrong thing, and eventually figured out, all right, don't do that. It leads you to this.
Yeah, that's why I talk to all you guys. You just, you tell me what you've done wrong already. So,
well, it's funny. I say the same thing with my inspectors. We have an inspector meeting every 2 weeks, and I always say, and I learned this. You'll get burned on something. Everybody will get burned. You'll miss something, or But you know what? You'll never get burned on the same thing twice. Because in the back of your mind, you'll always, I remember that dang chimney cap. I remember that freaking, but you'll get burned on something else. So I tell people, I say, how they season meat? They beat it with one of those pointy hammers and they rub salt on it. It's pretty much the same way you become a seasoned home inspector.
You get beat with the hammer. Yeah. Yep. It's happened, but you got to learn somehow.
You get beat pretty well, that hammer and that sort of thing.
Yep. I see it.
Well, Blake, is there anything you want to ask me?
What's your plans for today?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's my wife's birthday, so we're eating with her family, and then her family's got some people coming in or something. So I'm trying to figure out a way I can sneak in some work, but not make my wife mad.
Sneak in some work and some beer. Yeah,
exactly.
Everyone's happy.
Have a little bit of alcohol, so the relatives that get on your nerves, they don't. Sweet spot, as far as having a drink, it's like, don't drink if you're completely. This sounds terrible, but that relative that gets on your nerves, you'll say something. And then if you have too much to drink, you'll say something. Just like one drink, it'll keep me from opening my mouth and getting myself in trouble.
Yeah, it's real important to find that balance, though.
I don't know if I'm going to leave this in on the podcast.
Just make sure your wife doesn't hear
I
this.
know, right? That's black extortion money there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Blake, you've been gracious with your time. For all the listeners out there, let's give this guy some likes on his Facebook and help him with his SEO. Check out his website and all that. So, Blake, give us all the real estate properties again that we can find you, your Facebook, your website, and go there, give him some likes if you've got some value from this interview, and you know you did. So go. What's
I guess the biggest one's Facebook. We have Google Plus, but we use Facebook most. Website homeinspect.com. Inspect is always spelled with a K, so it's pretty easy to Google. Those are the two main platforms there.
Awesome. Well, brother, I'm gonna let you get back to it, but I appreciate your time this morning. And stay. Is it hot up there where you are? Pretty mild.
Yeah, it'll be in the 90s all week, so it'll get up there.
Well, stay hydrated. He's got an inspection this afternoon, so
Will do.
I'll let you get back to it. I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy. We'll see you.
Have a good one. Bye.